This is Catania Alvin from Hampstead, London. This is bombshell evidence showing foreign election meddling happening right now from American intelligence media. Here we go. It is so shocking, guys. What these men have done is wonderful. These investigators, these people who have really shown up the foreign meddling, the fraud, or through connections.
Hi, Douglas.
It is
Happy election day.
Yeah, it's election day where the corruption just keeps rolling in.
Oh
You'd
my
think
gosh.
that...
What have you gotten me into?
It was you last night. You said something about, well, as you were giving the instructions to the White Hats on how they can help protect the tally from these corrupt machines, and then you said, well, let's just check exactly who it is that holds the certificate authorities, the key certificate authorities for these different states. And so you started looking it up, and lo and behold, Mr. President, if you want to know the foreign meddling in our election, you're about to hear about it. Michael, would you tell Mr. Trump who it is that is the man in the middle that gets to receive all these vote tallies, run it through foreign countries, and then run it back to us?
Well, we put some people on that this morning, and the paper is literally still warm from the report that was just prepared. But I would say it is a woe man in the middle, not a man in the middle.
Yes, and I bet I can guess her name.
I bet we all can.
My jaw dropped when I saw this summary, which I assume Betsy is going to attach.
I'm sure.
Oh, gee. We looked at all 51 states, the secretaries of state, and their election system, or election server. Just to look at the keys that they use, key authorities that they use. And it appears that there are only 5 states that don't use third-party keys. Everybody else uses a third-party certificate authority, which we've talked about previously. I don't know where to start with this scandalous information, but I'll start here.
I bet he doesn't.
There's a company out of Great Britain called Komodo RSA.
Here we go, back
British
to Great Britain again.
It has something like 10 different company names in London, and it was founded by a gentleman by the name of, I'm going to get this wrong, but Melih Abdullah Yoglu. And let me read you the states that house their certificate authorities with this person actually in the UK. Arizona, Arkansas, Idaho, Indiana, Minnesota, Montana, New York, North Dakota, and Utah. So you can't make this up. 10 states are housing their PKI encryption keys overseas in the UK with a British guy who,
with a name like that,
this pattern, formed a British company, handles all the keys from servers in Great Britain, and then set up an American company to flow all these contracts through. And that guy's either a brilliant salesman or somebody set him up.
So when the voting machine wants to send out the tally of the votes, it has to use an encryption key, these PKIs.
But PKIs, 2 keys, a public and a private key.
And these companies in foreign countries can intercept that because they basically control the encryption key that allows that communication to happen, so they could intercept it, manipulate it, and no one would know. Is that correct?
That's correct. If they have the other key, they can open any message. Okay, so that's just for starters. Okay, it gets more interesting. There are 2 companies, and this really was the trigger for this line of inquiry when somebody brought up the issue of the Florida votes in Tallahassee, and there was some thinking that the Florida system was compromised. So we started looking at that and found that there is a company called Cloudflare, which is associated with a company called DigiCert. And in Florida and Hawaii, DigiCert Cloudflare houses those keys in Ireland.
We can trust those Irish. Come on now.
I'm a McKibben. I understand what you're saying, but I really have an issue with that. Anyway,
I can't trust
let's
the Irish.
move on.
I'm lying. I don't trust anybody, and I don't think anyone besides Americans should handle any of our votes.
None of these should be going overseas. This is ridiculous. Okay, let's keep going. Now we get into the meat. 19 states use a company called DigiCert. And DigiCert is owned right now by Thoma Bravo. Does that name ring a bell to you?
Orlando Bravo. Yes,
Yeah.
I've seen some of his videos.
Hillary's encryption keys. The company is out of San Francisco, California, and the following states use this company, which is controlled directly by a close Clinton associate: Connecticut, Illinois, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Ohio, Oregon, South Carolina, Tennessee, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia, and Wisconsin.
Now,
My
that's
God.
in trust, isn't it?
No, DigiCert is Thoma Bravo. Thoma Bravo sold in trust in 2013 to a company that is owned by, are you ready for the drum roll, the co-author of the Patriot Act by the name of Michael Chertoff.
Oh,
the
yeah.
former director of Homeland Security in both the Bush and Obama administrations.
And Homeland Security, if people don't remember, that's the Nazi SS, and they're in control of elections during the Obama administration.
Oh my God, what treason is happening in your dear country, America?
Actually, somehow the federal government was placed through Homeland Security in charge of elections. I think that should be illegal.
He controls Entrust, which is listed as the key authority in Colorado, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, South Dakota, and Wyoming. Now, that's a pretty small group in comparison to what Thoma Bravo holds, and it's very evident that after and by the way, he's SES too. He was 8 years SES in the process. So it's very apparent that he wanted in on this game and therefore formed a company, and they threw him these contracts. It's obvious from when you look at this data. Look at this spreadsheet and or draw your own conclusion. But that's the conclusion I've come to. So Michael Chertoff was added into this, and obviously he would have known about this whole digital key system that Hillary and the Clintons had set up and was being perfected during the Bush administration. And so that he's writing these companies off into retirement, I'm sure. So then we have another 5 states that are use a company called Global Sign, and that's Alabama, California, Iowa, Missouri, and New Jersey. And those keys are housed in Belgium.
Well, the European Union had to get their votes in.
Well, there you go. And then there are 2 states that use Microsoft for their keys, and of course, Microsoft is a large Clinton Foundation donor. And there are 2 states, Georgia and Mississippi, that use GoDaddy/Amazon, which is also a major Clinton Foundation donor. So it appears that, with the exception of 5 states for which we couldn't find any information that they used third-party keys, all of the rest of the companies are, in one way or another, compromising all of our digital keys for our election systems in all states except Alaska, Kansas, Nebraska, New Hampshire, and New Mexico.
A part 2 of this horror story. Okay, God bless.